Hello, gentles and ladymen. I am Bison Gaming, and I am joined by my good friend Prez Material. How's it going?
Good evening.
And we are going over a 2v2 that we played together versus a Japanese guy and a Chinese guy. The Japanese guy is playing Japan, and the Chinese guy is playing USA. And this is going to be a fun game. As you might expect from a video such as this, you might expect us to be going over some new crazy strategy that I have come up with. And you know what? That is perfectly fair to believe that. However, that is not what we are doing today. This originally was going to be a follow-up video to the video I released last week about how people are using German immigrants wrong and my take on the German immigrant boom. And that was originally what this recording was intended to be, with a German immigrant start. However, the person that we are going to be following the build order today is not actually me, but the opponent USA player who has this deck here. And it's going to be an exciting one. We don't want to give too much away, but Prez, what do you want to talk about at the beginning of this?
In the beginning, we're planning to take down the Japanese player. So whenever I see an Asian Dynasties player, I immediately think, I want to rush that guy. If I don't immediately kill him, at least I'm going to take his wonder down, and when there's a later game, he's going to be down some really powerful buffs. I almost exclusively rush against Asian players. I love rushing against Asian players. And I'm thinking wipe out the Japanese player, and then we can 2v1 the America player.
And that was the general plan that we were going about. And to be fair, we did, get a certain degree of efficiency in that plan done. But, well, you'll see what happens. Man, it's really hard to talk about this without talking about anything, but let's talk about this deck here for a second. We have French immigrants and Dutch immigrants. We have 700 wood, but not 700 coin, which is very interesting because that might, under some circumstances, indicate an extended Age 2 play because they are not planning on using 700 coin to Fast Fortress, but then you also don't have a lot of cards in Age 2 here, and this just goes into one of USA's strength that it actually shares with Malta, where you are capable of doing a Fast Fortress without 700 coin and being very economic about it. He's going up with Pennsylvania instead of Virginia, which is what you might expect for a more standard USA Fast Fortress, and generally what I use for USA Fast Fortresses. But in transition, he is getting the coin he needs to send the Dutch immigrants. And there they come. And this extra economic power going into a Fast Fortress is going to be at the cost of specifically early game defenses, as he's not going to be able to easily afford Minutemen without severely delaying his build order, as he's not going for 700 coin. But that's where we're at so far in this build order. It's a little bit of a vulnerable start, and you're kind of just relying on your opponent to take some of the heat, which, unbeknownst to us, played exactly into what we were doing. Or exactly what we did exactly what the USA player wanted. But in the meantime, we have a forward base from Prez going up here. You want to talk about what units you want to make or whatever?
I call this build Tower Rush to try to take advantage of the, it'll be right there, the Zazu Cavalry, because if I build a bunch of palaces and a bunch of towers, I get a bunch of free Raiders and Lafitte Knights. Now, Lafitte Knights are the Age 3 Hausa Cavalry card, but with this Zazu Cavalry card, you can get a shipment of them in Age 2. So what I like to do with this,
though. They are Age 2 stat wise. They're just not.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, they are.
But anyway, with this, you can kind of with that Zazu Cavalry card, you can build up a forward base really close to your opponent. You can have it shoot back if they ever try to push it, and when you finally get it to maximum size, you press that Zazu Cavalry, and you get a big army that, ideally, you want that card to be a game finisher. You want that to, be the final wave that wipes out your opponent. So that's what I'm trying to do with Zazu Cavalry. Now, I will be attacking before I send Zazu Cavalry. I will be raiding before I send Zazu Cavalry, but I really want the killing blow to be after I hit that Zazu Cavalry card. I am not intending to be in Age 3. I'm intending to at least wipe one of these guys out by Age 2.
The Japan player has gone with an Age 2 Shogunate, which is not the standard Japan play, as normally you see the Torii Gates or the Toshigu Shrine. However, I would be lying if I didn't say that I haven't seen that I have noticed people going with an Age 2 Shogunate more often recently with Japan. And that could just be a product of less experience going around in with more newer players not realizing how good the gates and the shrine are. But it is what it is, We're gonna have 2 war camps coming up, and we have 1 watchtower and 1 palace. That's gonna be 1 Lafiti Knight and 1 raider when the shipment is arriving, and everybody is just kind of starting to get ready for the big game. Now, over here on the USA side, he used his wagon to get the lounge, to get a saloon, which gives him a 1 settler's worth of coin trickle. And then he also has the bank, and he ships the meeting house that comes with Philadelphia Convention in order to get another coin trickle there. So he has plenty of coin he needs to start aging up to 3 using New Hampshire. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I have started to adopt the strategy and practice it, and there's no real benefit to New Hampshire, and I generally prefer Kentucky or something to that extent, or maybe even Tennessee would be very, very good here, as you have very, very little military presence and a lot of building defense presence, and the extra combat ability of your settlers would actually probably go a long ways to making this build even more defensive than it will turn out to be. Following our fast age up from the state capital, we are getting Hamiltonian economics to get all the free text from the market, though he is spending 100 food to get the gang saw before the shipment arrives, which is fine. It's one of the cheapest upgrades. In fact, it might actually just be the cheapest upgrade, other than like the settler HP one. But now we are in with a force of Minutemen and state militia trying to burn down the consulate. Look at this right here. That's 4 raiders and a Lafiti Knight. That is really, really solid.
For when I pop Zazu Cavalry.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I originally intended for this to be a video about German immigrants, but that will come in a later video, because this strategy that the USA player did over here, this Chinese fellow here whose name I can't even remotely read, it was just so interesting that I had to make a video for it. So he's just reached age 3. He's collecting his XP crates. His market techs are well on their way. He finally has 5 regulars, his first military this whole game. And smartly, he's not walking straight into combat here, as there is just way too many state militia and skirmisher unit types on the field for him to make any kind of impact here. But we're going to see his first shipment coming in momentarily. Now, the thing about this strategy is that you really just completely abandon your ally. If your ally is double rush, there is nothing you can do to stop it. You're just gonna have to tell him to evacuate behind you and call it a day, because he has no military presence to help you.
Now notice what Japan did here. Instead of making a colonial military, they stuck with their strategy of going fast fortress. They have the Toshigu Shrine in the back now, which is a little bit surprising, because like when you start getting raided, you kind of expect them to just transition out of that.
It probably would have been smarter for him to stop the age-up process and make some more military, for sure. But we've also decimated pretty much his entire base, and he has no military production buildings to work with at all. and his entire economy has been in there for a while. Now, we can see that his ally is helping him out and stopping our severe raids by making 2 blockhouses in his base. That's right, he has shit's Russian America Company, the Russian immigrant card. This card is incredible. I think people don't give this card enough credit. It's like the Advanced Frontier Defenses, but better. So this card, for those unfamiliar, I'm sure you're tangentially familiar with it, but it gives you 2 blockhouses instead of 3 outposts like that other card might do. But it also it researches the frontier. But those 2 blockhouses are added separately to your outpost builders, so you can make 7 outposts. But your outpost wagons from the state capital can also make up to 2 blockhouses. And then on top of that, it adds 30% gather rates to hunted animals. So it's like 2 furriers practically in addition to that. Such an amazing card. But here we go, having a little bit of military now to just shoot back, delay things as much as they can. Yellow is trying desperately to evacuate. He's not doing well. He is at 1 villager. This is his last settler, dude. It got away!
Yep. But, I mean, that's fine. You look at Japan, and they seem okay. It seems like they're pretty much dead besides this. So, at this point, we're thinking this is just a 2v1, and we just have to, like, slowly build up over time and beat this guy.
And to be fair, we are correct. This is basically a 2v1.
Now, I want you to look at that, look at the side. Look at the Japanese monk going north.
Oh, yeah. This is gonna be a problem later. But currently he does not have the wood he needs to do anything. His soul settler that is on 58 HP is chopping a tree, desperately trying to accomplish something. And down goes the Toshiku Shrine as well.
So we're feeling really good about ourselves right here.
What we don't notice, however, is that after shipping the Russian America Company, the USA player went straight to Age 4, and he's grabbing 2 more TCs from his state capital. And the first thing he did upon hitting Age 4 was research heavy fortifications, meaning all of his outposts are now upgraded. He's investing a lot of he's going to be. He was and will be momentarily investing a lot of settlers onto wood and is just trying to build as many outposts as he possibly can. He ages up to Age 4 with California, and after the heavy fortifications, ships California Gold Rush. Which gives a gold mine, and all of your town centers now train settlers for free. But one of the cool things about this, and something that a lot of people don't know, is that the town centers will still continue to make any settlers that they've already had queued before the shipment arrives. So if you spend all of your food on your to queue up a bunch of settlers on your town centers, that you essentially double the amount of town centers you have temporarily for when the shipment arrives. It's a very, very cool ability that allows you to just skyrocket in settler production. I mean, look at this right here. This is 2 TCs at the same time, It's a very, very cool ability here, and he's planning on walling in, but we're trying to raid, coming in from the other side due to this. And that is the current situation of things as of now. Grabbing the Explorer real quick. Both me and Prez are still Age 2 at the moment. And just the amount of defenses that this USA player has, despite having no military, he's able to pretty much fend us off with no issues. Prez, hello? You've been a little quiet.
Not much to say here. What I'm noticing is he's able to easily, now he's 4 town centers. He's easily running these villagers between the town centers. All of these places have resources. They all have either wood or coin, and that's pretty much all he needs right now to continue to turtle like this. Usually, turtling is not as good in Age of Empires 3 as it is in Age of Empires 2, where you can just drop a castle on yourself. but in this case, the turtle is too strong, and we have to back off. We have to wait. Usually, in Age of Empires 3, you need at least some military units. This is one of those rare times where you get 0 military units and you're fending off an enemy force. Although, to be fair, we are colonial age, and he did a fast industrial. It was very impressive.
Now he is shipping Kusakino, or I'm not sure how I pronounce it, I call it Kusakino. Kusakino Fortifications, which is one of my favorite cards for USA, and it's criminally underused, I feel. It's a very, very cool card that enables your that enables your explorer to make up to 3 forts in the game at half price and double speed, which is just fantastic. And it's a card that I think is criminally underutilized, is just in general USA's fort capabilities. But the shipment's now arrived, and the Explorer is already on the move. I'm sure we will be seeing a fort come up momentarily. Yep, there it goes. Fort Sumter coming up over on the north side. We can see Prez actually trying to wall him in just much as he's trying to wall us out, which I find very entertaining.
Yeah, and I think that this is a good move that I can do, being in sort of early Fortress Age. If I can just get my walls up, I can, contain him, and then we can freely gather from, the 80% of the map we control. But little do we know, let's have an update on the Japanese player. Look what he's doing up in our back line. I have no reason to scout this. I have no reason to suspect this. Now, what the heck is he doing up there? Well, it turns out that Monk that's snuck past on the left flank earlier was able to just stand up there for a bit until his
until USA
American ally
shipped him a bunch of wood to start a new colony.
And now look at that Japanese deck. Look what he has in Fortress Age, and you'll understand why he's going to be so much of a problem for me. He's going to start sending these ninja shipments, these Ronin shipments, and he's just going to pop up in the middle of what I assume is like a completely unraidable area, because I've walled in what I assume is like both of them.
Yeah.
But no, I just walled in the American player, unfortunately. So that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
At this point, everybody is in Age 3 now. I'm trying to posture, get my veteran upgrades, get some artillery and cavalry and stuff like that. Artillery foundry going up. But the longer we wait, the more the USA player has time to get his defenses up, which is I'm sure a panic from him as well, because the longer the game goes, the more we both catch up to him economically. But going up here, we have the mills. We have the mill wagons, which are always fun. One of the cool things about USA is you never have to actually build mills yourselves. You can just build them with the wagons and then set the settlers to them as soon as it's time to go. Always a favorite ability of mine. We actually destroyed the bank, but one of the cool things about USA is whenever you ship some of your special buildings, whenever you ship some of your special buildings, you can just remake them with the state capital. So he was able to get his bank back already. It's right next to him here. And he's just got a handful of Marines walking around trying to do their thing to stop the smaller raids. But we can see a little something interesting going on with his resource count over here. He'd probably already be doing his thing had we not destroyed that market and prevented him from just buying some food. But this is not, as you might have suspected, this is not a fast industrial strategy. This is actually a defensive fast imperial strategy. As you will see, he is very quickly approaching the 4,000 food that he needs in order to get up to the Imperial Age. We have a second fort.
And America, if you see in America online, there's probably, a small chance he goes fast Imperial. I feel but it's a higher chance than other civs. You know what I mean? You see America and you think, is there a possibility he goes fast Imperial here? You don't really think that with other civs, but with America, there's a lot of interesting strategies they can do fast Imperial
It really
with.
is the reason I love USA so much as a civilization, is if you try and think hard enough about how to make something work, you can make just about anything work, and they have such an amazing spread of strategies that they can perform. It's one of my favorite aspects about USA as a civilization. Of course, this strategy is also annoying as hell, but, you know...
And I don't really have... And now the Japan player has started to send those shipments. You'll notice our first trade post has been lost in the north.
Oh, yeah.
He's back in the game.
These ships, these ninjas...
He's attacking my economy, and I can't really do anything about that. Ninjas are a very hard... They're a very hard mass for the Hausa... in the position that I am in to take out, because I have to now regroup my entire army and hunt for these guys. And they're just assassinating my villagers all over the place. Hausa does not get spies until they ally with the Moroccans, but I had not allied with the Moroccans at that point.
Ah, yes, ninjas, the super spy that loses to spies.
And they're anti-cav, too.
They are not anti-cav, they just have 20 attack.
Oh yeah? What do you call that, huh?
Like I said, they just have 20 attack and 400 HP, but they don't have any cav multipliers.
Strong unit, nonetheless.
So we have aged to 5 with Texas, and the first card that he is sending is the Alamo, which ships 16 Minutemen and makes it so that all of your Minutemen are turned... all Minutemen spawn out of your destroyed buildings, which is honestly a card that I have slept on for a very, very long time as USA. As I tried out the equivalent card that India has, that where they get regulars and sentries on destroyed buildings, but that thing doesn't activate on houses, and it's basically only like one. It's basically like only like one unit, even on some of the bigger buildings, which is very, very upsetting. I had wanted to make like a Minutemen build out of it, where you just build houses all over the map and get Minutemen that way. But it doesn't really work that well. However, the Alamo gives you a big shipment of Minutemen that are shadow text to Imperial, of course, as well. But the amount of Minutemen you get is actually quite a few. It depends on the building, and forts obviously provide the most, but watch how many 17 Marines for destroying that fort. That is incredible.
Yes, and I think that it syncs up very well with what he's doing.
Exactly.
If he has opponents like us that are constantly trying to siege down his stuff, at this point in time, they will have made mortars. At this point in time, they are ready to start tearing down those defenses because they've transitioned. They understand, okay, a colonial age army isn't going to take this out. Now I'm going to bring out the artillery. But what's that? Now you have a bunch of Marines popping out whenever you destroy the defense building that you can finally counter.
Yeah, that you could use to counter the artillery and then remake the building behind it. And these units are, of course, shadow-teched into Age 5 as well. So it really is just a lot of synergy going into the strategy with USA. It's such a cool concept. And it's not something that I would have ever thought to actually test, given how just completely awful the Indian variant of this card is. Now, granted, the Indian variant of the card is Age 2, and this is Age 5, so there's obviously a big difference there. But still, it really is, it really just goes to show, you know, you never know how good a card is until you test it, even if it sounds like it's bad when you do it.
The thing about Age of Empires 3 is, sometimes you just have the right deck for the right situation. And I think the situation where he is in, where he has to hold 1v2 against players while his allies rebuilding the whole game, I think that was the perfect situation to have a deck like this.
Mm-hmm. Now, he's quickly followed this by sending Texan Forts, which has everything set to Gatling guns, of course, because what else is worth making? Each of these is only 2 Gatling guns. It says 1 free Gatling gun, but it's not. It's 2 free Gatling guns. It even says 8 pops. I really don't know why it says 1 free Gatling gun. Incorrect tooltip, but it is what it is. Here's a whole bunch of irregulars, sentries, and ninjas running around.
Does he have the Ronin yet?
No, he does not. I have not seen them yet.
Well, they're coming. And at that point, I just have nothing left.
At this point, the USA player has shipped Minutemen companies.
I'm completely detached from the siege now, other than the wall I built around him.
So this point, the USA player has shipped Minutemen companies so he can send batches of 16 Minutemen instead of 6, which is just an excellent card. I think it's one of USA's best Stage 4 cards. These units are kind of walking into fire right here, which is not what you want to see. But they just have such high stats and such good siege. These are such good units. He's getting
and he didn't have to spend a penny
guns
to get them to Imperial Age rank.
And at this point, it's kind of interesting because the USA player really doesn't need to spend resources to get military, so he's kind of free to just send over a bunch to just build his economy and then get some stables because the one thing is missing is cavalry here, and then send over a bunch of resources to help out his ally. And he had sent a huge amount of resources by the end of this game. We'll kind of go over that when we touch on the post game a little bit. But these mercenaries are just shredding, and now he does have the Ronin in. 58 hand attack with 2 area of effect is just disgusting.
I almost finally killed his mass, and then I'd have been able to push, but man, he just... Every time I'm about to finish him off, he gets another shipment of those Fortress Age units, and I just keep getting wiped out.
Now he has some
so I start
Gatling guns starting to...
I play even more walls all over the place. Because I'm realizing this is going to be a long game.
Yeah, this is a long game. And the thing is, I did not realize that he had the Alamo, and had I realized this, I would have gone for some of the other buildings before the fort. Because 17 Marine Pop that I'm just giving the enemy is really, really nasty when I have this much artillery running around.
What I think might have worked is if you tried to upgrade to the highest ranked hand cavalry that you had, but you thought you didn't need it because I'm the one in charge of the cavalry, right? So you could have gone in, you could have killed the villagers, and you could have sort of ignored the buildings that pop a million heavy infantry in the meantime. Sure, the buildings will shoot you, but at the very least you'll be raiding a lot, you'll be killing a lot of villagers, and you'll be forcing them to stay in the town centers in the long run, while you slowly get a better economy over time. But I can't make a mass of cavalry because this guy keeps popping Ronin and ninjas and all sorts of stupid stuff. Because his ally keeps slinging him all these resources, so he's got all these mercenaries popping out in the middle of nowhere, slaughtering my villagers. It's driving me crazy.
Hey, look, you just shipped a Fort Wagon.
Oh, there it is again. Another 17 Marines when that thing goes down.
Yeah, exactly. You get so much value out of the forts. And that's an extra Fort Wagon build limit, too, so we can make 5 forts now. Which is cool. A part of me wishes this strategy worked with Ohio, but you really do need California in order to keep up economy-wise. Because if you notice, he hasn't shipped his factories yet. He is going full, cheap infantry. I'm just gonna make military. I'm just gonna make eco the old-fashioned way. We don't need no factories, and we don't need no resources to make military.
And another good reason you don't need Ohio is your opponent has control of the trade routes completely. You need to take those trade posts out. You don't necessarily need to even control them when you have an economy in a fortress like this.
Exactly. And once again, he's sending coffee mill guns, doesn't need his factories. At this point, I'm trying... I kind of recognize the big threat here, and I'm trying to put together a mass of spies to help deal with the amount of mercenaries that are just here. And you'll see how that goes in a second. Since they are on their way. These are slightly Shattetek spies. They just have a little bit more HP, nothing quite else, but... spies are a very interesting unit, and I have some things to say about them. Red numbers, red numbers, red numbers, and yellow. Fucking.
And then look, like the dust rises and all the spies die by the time it dissipates. It's amazing.
Spies.
Just what happened?
so funny because every civilization has a card that upgrades spies, and whenever somebody makes like Age 4 mercenaries like Ronin, you know, you think to yourself, oh, I just need to make spies, but you don't just need to make spies. You need to have the card in your deck that upgrades the spies in order to make it work. Also, I walk into these thinking they were Ronin. They weren't. They were samurais, so my spies died.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very, very unfortunate. Some civilizations can get really incredible spies, like Portugal. And if you use Sweden to go into USA, you can get the range spies that do like 240 damage per range shot on fucking mercenaries, and it's just really funny to watch. But they're such a polarizing unit because sometimes if it's not Ronin or something, a lot of the times, especially if it's like Jaegers, the spies will just completely decimate the mercenaries in no time flat. But other times they just feel like the worst unit ever to counter. So I'm trying to make more spies to help deal with this. I don't quite realize that there's samurai mixed in there as well.
And they get through just before I finish the wall. And it's every time.
So unlucky. So unlucky.
Should have built the wall closer. Always build the wall closer and then build out from that. That's a lesson for all you out there.
But at this point, the game is pretty much called. There's not really a whole lot else that's interesting. We have the advantage, but through sheer force of spies and Ronin, and the absolute monstrosity that is this base, we have just lost. And there is not much we can do about it to fix that.
I agree. If you want to fast forward it to the end,
Yeah.
and we can show everyone the stats, like I'd be okay with that. Oh, you walked past them. No, there they are.
We're just gonna fast forward through this. And hey, look, it's Shogun Tokugawa.
I think we kill this guy.
Nope, we might have, but he just shipped a whole bunch of fucking Ronin right next to my factory. This is why nobody likes Japan, by the way.
Yeah. What if it was just like you can send a shipment, but you can only send one shipment, alright? Maybe that would be a good way to balance it.
Yeah, he shipped 15 fucking Ronin. What a card.
They knew what they were doing, and I think they had I think just between USA having the perfect deck for the situation, I think between the perfect timing for when I was trying to finally like eco up, build a Fortress Age eco, the Japanese player immediately hit me at the right time. I think they had the decks they needed to win this specific game very well. Sometimes you get a deck and you just completely counter everything your opponent does like at the perfect time. I think that's basically what happened here. Mm-hmm. Although, now that I know the power of the Russian-American company, I mean, I'm upset about the Ronin. I'm upset about the ninjas, but that Russian-American company, were it not for that, we'd have been able to sweep right into the U.S. base. We wouldn't have needed to take the long way around. We could have hit them earlier. I think we would have won that. I think the Russian-American company solely won that game for the USA players.
That's one of the things where it's actually really cool how independent and stable this strategy is, as long in its ability to defend itself and get to the Imperial Age, as long as your ally takes the brunt for the first couple minutes of the game, then you are set. It's very, 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 very interesting strategy, and I've tried it a few times. I've tried it once online, it's a fun strategy. It's not fun for your opponent, I doubt, but you know, it is what it is, and sometimes that's just the way the game plays. And
why don't you show the deck one more time?
Yeah.
Why don't you show the deck one more time for anyone who wants to?
I am
copy
of the belief that whenever something that OP is found, yes, it can be seen as in bad taste to show it in a public video, because some more people are going to use it, but the more people abuse something, the faster the devs are going to react to it. So there's an element to that as well.
I agree. So my nerf would just, like, French immigrants or Dutch immigrants, make that thing cost resources, the Russian-American company. I think that would be a fair nerf. The Spanish double hacienda thing shipment also had a nerf where it costs 200 wood now. Have a nerf where you have to sink some wood to get that those outposts and the upgrade. Because think about that. That's 250 wood plus 250 wood for the outposts, right? Then another 400 wood on top of that. Another 200 coin on top of that. You're sitting at, like, what is that? 900 wood, 200 coin, and a major upgrade for hunting animals on top of that. That's a really good shipment in terms of its, like, just intrinsic value.
And it's supposed to be like the USA's upgraded version of Advanced Frontier Defenses, which they also actually have. But yeah, you don't really need Frontier Defenses. Just ship Russian American company. It's so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so why don't you go? You try this out yourself, everyone of you watching out there, and just see how powerful it is, because this was a really impressive build. We were disgusted at the time, but looking back on it now, we're very
frustrated and annoyed. But I was impressed, and I was impressed. I saved the recording, copied the deck. I made some adjustments to the deck here and there. I think for example, I got rid of the crate shipments that aren't really necessary, and I swapped out the 2 heavy cannons for the 5 rockets card. But other than that, that's about it. So thank you so much for watching, Gentles. Oh right, I wanted to look at the post game and show just how many resources he attributed. Almost 30,000 resources to his Japan ally in that throughout that whole game.
So it's not fair. I'm basically, you ever play those Age of Empires campaigns where the AI has unlimited resources and you can't really rate them, and it's just like some barracks at the end of like a long valley. Basically, that's what I'm dealing with here.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is.
Anyways, have a great day, Gentles and Living Men, and goodbye.
Have an A+.